Hello, all you beautiful people. This is Learn to Love Yourself, or Serenity with Rosie. And today's topic, and the final one in the mental health and emotional resilience, is facing judgment and standing in your truth. So facing judgment and standing in your truth. But first, I want to take a deep breath, calm my energies, while we have this conversation. So, first question is, what do you think facing judgment and standing in your own truth means? Number one that comes to mind is you'd be judged, right? For whatever. And standing in your truth is regardless of the judgment, you remain unmovable. So when I first left the church, there's a lot of people that say that they're very, very scared to go back. And I have not really felt afraid to go back. I can't go back because the area, I'm allergic to something there. But afraid of judgment, I am not. People say what they want, they're going to anyway. What does it matter? Because most of the time, people are so focused on themselves. They're not focused on you, because in their reality, they are the star of the show, just like in your reality, you're the star of the show. And so, and if they're actually paying that close of attention to you, that is called jealousy. And that's a whole other thing in and of itself, and I wouldn't worry about it. But some people feel a real worry when faced with that, because they feel like other people will judge them. But then if you care what other people say, that, I don't know, that's just sad. It is. And I know that it can happen, and I can't say that I'm trying to think of when maybe I've always been so rebellious that I haven't really cared. That's kind of, I don't know. I don't know if I should be happy or sad about that. But now, if it was somebody like my family, my friends, and they felt sad by something I did, of course, then I felt sad. But I don't know, it's a different topic than if you're just doing it trying for attention. And so I couldn't really help there. I know that I think it's way more freeing. And obviously in the church, you pull different strings because you're being manipulated. So I did my share of manipulating others to survive. I never did it with any intention of hurting anyone. But I don't know, that is an interesting thought. But another topic is when you're being misunderstood. I have felt misunderstood a lot, because a lot of times I have felt things because I've felt things more deeply. Not saying I feel things more deeply than anyone, but I have always felt like when you're trying to have a conversation with someone and you say something and they're like, oh yeah, you mean this, and they go on a big old tangent and you're like, it's actually not what I was talking about. And so I have definitely felt that my whole life. And so you could feel judged in that situation. I just feel like I took it as I just didn't belong because of how I feel things and perceive the world is so much more, it's different than other people's, which it's good. We should all have a different perspective, which is amazing. But every once in a while, it's nice to find someone who is on your same wavelength. And I don't know, because I know I have a lot of friends and they really try to understand where I'm coming from and they do their best, but I don't know. I guess in a way, that's kind of why I've always felt like an alien in a way. Not so much an alien, but different or strange or something, because it's almost like I don't even know how to put it into words. It's just it's like they're trying to have this conversation with you and it's right here and you're all thinking of things that are, well, actually, let's do this. They're thinking of things here and you're like down here and you're trying to understand, and they're like back here and you're like, okay, and they're kind of touching on it, just little tiny bits, and it's like, and I've had to learn to just be fine with that, because you understand everyone is at their own level. And I'm not saying that I am more knowledge or anything. That's not what this conversation is about. We're all different. We're all different levels of our soul growth. And it's not saying anyone is better or worse than anyone else. We're all just learning. All of us are. And so that's just been the biggest thing as far as to say that there was a difference between me and other people is I am very different. I I don't know if I've ever met someone who is on the same frequency I am. And I'm not saying again like that's anything to be special about. It just almost makes you feel more alone than anything. But nonetheless, I realize I'm sure there is, because I haven't met everyone on this planet, so I'm sure there is somebody out there. And I do know someday I will meet them and we'll be on different, we'll actually be able to understand each other. And that I look forward to that day, because surely I can't be the only one. But so if you want to put judgment in that light, then it's not that people say things, it's just a feeling of when you're trying to have a conversation and you can tell they're trying to understand what you're saying, and pretty soon I just abandoned what I was trying to say, because it's like you they aren't understanding, but they're trying. So it's not like, and so maybe it's in me, in my ability to explain what I'm trying to talk about, and I need to work on that too. And so why does judgment hurt? Why would you think judgment hurts? To me, from my perception, the judgment where other people, I don't feel like other people understand me, is almost like you're trying to talk in, say, I've worked with several people and they didn't know much English. And it's almost like there's a language barrier there. And so it's almost like you're saying something, but they can't quite comprehend. It's like if you're sitting down with a child and you're trying to explain college math to them, or, calculus, and they're just looking at you like, huh? And so it's almost like that, but I don't know how else to explain it. But I know some people fear judgment, whether it's superficially from their bodies or their weight or their muscles or their looks, any of the superficial things you can feel judgment on. And it's just sad because I've had people say, oh, his nose is just so funny looking, or his lips, his smile is crooked, or this or that, the other thing. But to me, I don't know. I mean, it's like even so much as someone was talking to me and they says, oh, I don't know what to do. They're going gray just on the sides. And they're like, it is so bad. And I'm like, but to me, I think that's actually kind of cool because that's not how everyone grades. So to me, it's distinguished. And so maybe, I don't know, because I think it's cool that you have something that stands out where you're not the same as everyone else. I think that's cool. And even take this for instance, I have this mole right here on my forehead, and I tried several times to have one of my doctors, remove it. And he says, I can't remove it. And I'm like, why? And he's like, because it distinguishes you. And I'm like, a mole on my forehead that's offset distinguishes me. But, I'm like, okay, it distinguishes me. And so I think it's just different things, and learning to, as we learn to more accept ourselves, then we realize to embrace our differences, to embrace our insecurities, and be fine with it. Because not everyone has the same challenges. Our differences should be celebrated. It's not something to be sad about. I don't know. This is a different topic, but it's like watching the show Outlander. And at first I was quite taken back because Claire she acts so much like me. And I was a bit intimidated at first because I thought I was special. Not special in the way of special, but I thought I was unique to myself. And how could somebody write a story about my life? And so I can understand how someone would want to fit in or think that they needed to when they didn't love themselves. But we all have different things that we have to work on. And the thing is we have to stop and tell ourselves we are way harsher. Ourselves are way more harsh to ourselves than any words anybody else has said to you. Just like when someone says something unkind to you, and it just feels like it just cuts right to the core. It just hurts so bad. But that's because how many times did you repeat that to yourself before that person ever said that? How many times did you tell yourself over and over, I'm just not good enough. I'm just not amazing and beautiful like this other person. My skin's not perfect. My hair's not perfect. It's just, that's why there's a sore there. There's a wound that bleeds. And that's why when that person says something and it hurts so bad, is because they're mirroring us back to ourselves. And we realize that all the things that we've been saying, now other people are saying it to us too. And how could they do that? That's so hurtful. And yet we don't stop and realize if we change the way we talk to ourselves and the way people perceive things, it'll be different. So you have to stop and recognize, what is the source of the judgment? Is it a judgment actually against you? Is it a judgment on how they perceive you? Is it a judgment? If it's something superficial, I think, I don't know, I have probably a different opinion, but I grew up with, I have two siblings that are Down syndrome and one is autistic. And to me, they were very unique, such sweet, loving souls, really, truly. But to me, they were special, and we didn't allow people to make fun of them. We didn't allow anyone to say derogatory things because they were just like us. They were one of our family. And it doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter if your face isn't symmetrical or you aren't perfect. What matters is, what kind of a person are you? And that is how the world, this energy frequency that has shifted. We're not surface level anymore. We shifted to a different frequency, and now we're at a whole nother level. And so all this other superficial stuff really doesn't matter. Now we're at this deeper level where it's like, well, what kind of person are you? Are you kind? Are you considerate? Are you loving? Are you forgiving? Not saying that you forgive and forget. Do you have boundaries? Because those are the things is you have to remember all of these. If you're not true to yourself, you can't be true to anyone else. First, to thine own self be true. And so it brings me back. I was talking to someone today and they said, oh, things are just so bad right now. There's just all this terrible things going on in the world. And I said, yeah, but do you think it started right now? When did all these troubles start? And they're like, well, and I'm like, yeah, pretty much the 1920s on. It's been going on for almost a good 100 years. And so do we think that all of these changes are going to just automatically switch? No, it's going to take time. But as we're seeing all of this dross and corruption and sadness and hurt and pain and greed boiling to the surface, it has to come to the surface to get healed. And that's just like your emotions personally. It's happening on a global scale, just like the internal part of you. We are seeing on a global scale where everything that is the heavier, denser energies has to be transmuted, has to be changed, has to be switched so it can be at a higher frequency now, because heavy energies cannot exist here. And that's what the Mayans meant about a new world, a new existence. Can you imagine where people look out for each other? They're in your best interest. The news is not so judgmental, and they want the best for everybody involved, and they actually care about each other. Can you imagine TV shows, movies, portraying that real love, true love does exist? That all of these wonderful, amazing things that you would only dream about are in your reality, and you can see it. It's all coming. I'm not saying it's going to be a utopia of no, how do they say it? No evil or dross. No, we're still going to have learning things. There's still going to be things to learn and grow from. But can you imagine if instead of somebody saying, oh, you hurt my feelings, you looked at me funny, you called me the wrong name, instead they'd be like, I know that you're hurting today. And instead exchange a hug or a kind word for someone else. See, this is how the world is changing. So the next topic I want to talk about is the trap of self-abandonment. So what does that even mean? Self-abandonment. And how would it be a trap? It is a trap. I've been in it. Where you think that you need to do or make yourself smaller to fit in a box so other people like you or other people maybe like you're easier to fit into their reality, and so you don't stand out so much. I've tried many times. I was in a box for a long time. I tried to fit in as hard as I could when I was younger. I tried. After I was angry that I got left here, and I decided I was just going to have to learn how to fit in. And I still didn't fit in. No matter what I've tried, I never have. And so I gave up trying. But the thing is when you avoid judgment from others, you abandon yourself. When you avoid judgment from others, you abandon yourself. Let that sink in for a moment. Because that is really, really sad. It's like a betrayal to yourself. And that is a really deep wound that you cause yourself by being not true to yourself. And so, more or less, you're getting temporary relief, but causing long-term pain for yourself. So instead of taking it this thing that's at this thing level and you're fixing it, you're making it this deep and you're making it be an endless ache instead of just being grateful for who you are, realizing you're individual and you're perfect as you are. You don't need to change for anyone. It doesn't matter. We're all individual. All of us. And so I just want you guys to understand how we do more damage to ourselves than anybody else generally does. And at some point, you get tired of hurting yourself. It's, I don't know. I've hurt myself so much. Way more than anybody else could have ever. By making myself feel like I wasn't worthy. By making myself feel like I wasn't enough, just as I was. By cowering and trying to fit in. And then trying to help and save people from themselves. Because all of those are just self-inflicted pain of some kind. When instead, if you just accept people as they are, as they show up and accept that. You don't have to change anyone. You let them be them, just like you're being you. And if it's beyond your boundaries, then you don't have to deal with them and go somewhere else. This world is a big place. So we have to find the biggest thing. That's why I asked you on the thing is, what is your why? What is important to you? Because once you find out what your why is, why do you want these choices? Why do you want to feel better? Why do you even want to have self-love? If it's about feeling better about yourself, well, why do you want to feel better about yourself? So you're happier. And is happiness that important to you? Because some people weigh it and they're like, well, pleasing other people, sometimes if it's your love language, it can make you feel like you're happy as well. And so there's all these pushes and pulls, all these little gauges that you're pushing up and down, adjusting these little things. And so the thing is you have to remember is your truth is yours alone. No one else can tell you what your truth is. And it's perfect. It's amazing. It's brilliant. It's captivating. It's exciting. And you should be excited about life. If you're not excited about life, then your soul is probably stuck in a situation where you're shrinking. And you don't want to be in those situations because you want to be growing. Because, yes, growth is pain, but pain is necessary. And so instead of when something bad happens, you think, oh, I didn't want this to happen. This hurts so bad. And I know, I've done it. Trust me. When I was relearning how to write and talk and relearning to use my phone and using electronics, all of my electronic knowledge gone down the drain. I had to relearn all of it. And it was really, really challenging. But then I thought, you know what? Hey, it's almost like I'm learning it for the first time. And so maybe it was easier actually for me because I didn't have to change how I had grown up learning electronics because I didn't even remember. So then there was that. So the thing is finding there's a good side to everything. Nothing is just linear. Everything is multifaceted. We see everything and it has layers. It's not about just this one cut dried thing. I've rarely ever found one thing that was that alone. There's always ways. There's always things. And you just have to find out which one is the right one for you. So another thing that really helps with building your own inner anchoring is I like to journal, meditating, walking in nature, and affirmations to yourself, because you should talk the same to yourself as you would somebody you love, because you have to love yourself to love anyone else, because how your relationship with yourself is how your relationship is going to be with everyone around you. And that's why people don't change you and people expect that they do, and so they get in another relationship and another one and another one, and somehow they just don't fix that person because they don't stop and think that it's actually them. But then that's bad because that makes them have to take accountability for their actions and realize that there's no one who's going to save them besides themselves. And that can seem scary because A lot of people want someone to save them, but we have to save ourselves. So you have to learn to be so rooted in who you are that other people around you cannot sway that. Doesn't matter what people say. Doesn't matter what they do. That's what I guess maybe that's the one thing I've always had, is it hasn't mattered what people said or what they did, because I always told myself that they can do whatever, but they can't change who I am. So I want to talk about responding versus reacting. So reacting is when someone does something and you're astonished, or you don't like take a breath before you respond and you just say something. Versus to respond, then you take a breath and you contemplate and analyze the situation before you say something. One is a fear-based response and one is a balance-based response. So if you respond and you're balanced and you're thinking about all of the different things involved, you're probably going to say something more wise and not something you regret. Versus if somebody freaks you out and you're reacting, and you're going to sometimes you blurt out things that you later have to retake back or wish you didn't say. And so learning what the different responses are and what you would rather your response to be. Because all of this, I'm not trying to tell any of you how you should live or what you should be like. I'm just saying is think about the legacy that you're leaving, because you are leaving a legacy. What do you want to be known for? And some responses, some actions don't even require a response. Like I said before, not saying anything is a response. And you don't owe anyone an explanation. Calm confidence shakes insecure people more than any words ever would. And so if somebody's trying to get you all reactive and they're saying things and you just calmly don't say anything or just be kind, then that freaks come out pretty good. Because that's when the thing I was talking about, what the definition of power was. And in my last video, and you're welcome to go watch it, but I was explaining how power is not manipulation. Power is love and truth. That is true power. It's a whole deeper level, way deeper than all the superficial things. So, living in your truth can cost you your comfort, but you'll be free. Because by living in your truth, you gain freedom. And the truth is not fragile. You don't need to protect it. It will protect itself. When everything happens, anything, truth needs no defense. Truth will shatter all illusions. It's stronger than the toughest metal there is. But the only thing you have to remember also about truth is it just needs to be lived. So live in your truth today. And I just want all of you to be happy and be able to find that joy and peace in yourself and realize that you are perfect as you are. You don't need anyone else's opinions, just yours and your own truth and peace, because you are so loved and cared for. Have a wonderful day.